when the world was in lockdown mode, I spent my time unlocking codes that classical dance tradition had set for centuries. I was spending my day all by myself on the dance floor, trying to bring new dynamics to movements, trying to re-energize movements, seeing if I could express feelings through movements, if I could depict nature through movements. All this with an intent to see how I could bridge the gap between theory and practical, academics and entertainment. With this purpose, how I could break down, simplify dance movements in the interest, larger interest for those who like to involve in classical dance, how it could be made more enjoyable, more accessible, and for practitioners, how it could free them, make them more creative. So, with this intent, I was trying to explore possibilities, bringing in new tools for experimentation. And astonishingly, I realized endless possibilities for creative expression through movements. I hope you know that I have a strong foundation already informed in two classical forms. But here I was trying to express myself and come out of the regular thought process in dance that tradition has given us. And believe me, I came up with 247 new movements of functional and aesthetic value. DNA was my research during pandemic. Deshi Marga Adavu. An Adavu in classical term means fundamental unit of movement. It's like a sentence, a phrase of movement where the hand gestures and those nuances of the face, they are like alphabets. But Adavu is a fundamental unit of movement. Deshi refers to the regional styles that we have. You must have heard Kathak, Bharatanatyam, Odissi, Kuchipudi, Manipuri. All those regional styles are called Deshi. And Marga is a very special grammar that is given to us in Natya Shastra, which is the earliest or extensive only text on Indian dance and dramaturgy. I was trying to bring a harmony between the current practice, which I chose for this research as Bharatanatyam, and the Marga tradition, which I had also learned. And so the Deshi Marga integration, a seamless integration, brought out these 108 new movements. So how did I do this? I took the foundation of Deshi for the lower body, all the leg variations, and for the upper body, I took the grace, poise, and variations that is mentioned in the Marga. In Bharatanatyam, if some of you have seen, it's a very linear style. And Marga is a curvilinear style. If you have seen sculptures in the temples, they're all very, very curvy. And those movements are actually frozen movements from series of movements called karanas. Most beautiful, fascinating movements which were researched, reconstructed and revived by our Guru Dr. Padmasubramaniam. And those elements of karanas form the Marga for my research and the Deshi. Before I demonstrate, I would like to just share with you some very interesting insights in the research how this happened. When we come up with a free thinking, we also need a framework, and we have to be responsible as well, being a dancer all these years. So what I did was, I did a background check on the different schools of thought, different traditions that are there in Bharatanatyam. I spoke to the masters, practitioners, and drew a commonality in the fundamentals that is practiced and taught there. And also I compared it with the fundamentals that I learned when I was younger. And then I categorized these 108 movements into 12 sections, and then I was building on each. The beauty of this research is, normally in any research, a student gets access to a research material after several years of its publication. But here, as I was creating, during pandemic, I didn't have any students, but then I identified 2-3 of my senior dancers, called them online, and I said, hey, look, this is something new that I have tried out, and this is a thought process. Now I want to see it on you. So I wanted to check on the visual appeal that these movements have. And these dancers internalized them, and adding their own creativity, they brought them out so beautifully. And that was something that was very rewarding for me to see the result then and there on the dancers. Parallelly, I was showing these moves to scholars, seeing the shape of the movement and the functionality of the movement. They started giving it names. See, in our classical tradition, the fundamentals are taught to just rhythms. There are no names. But here, each of the movement was given a special name. For example, if the first movement had a very swaying hand and a swaying body, it was called as dolika. Dolika. The one that had an elephant hands was called karenuka. The ones that had a very peppy and sweet movement with the elephant ears representing baby elephant was called kalabhika, and so on. Beautiful, beautiful movements came about with beautiful names. And then the next level was, I had the name, I had these new movements, and I gave them to musicians. I chose 4 musicians, composers, and gave these moves, videoed them. See, remember, this is all during pandemic. I gave these to them, and with their own creative thoughts, creative vision of these movements, they composed tunes for these. So here is a fundamental unit of movement, Deshimarga Adavu, that had a new name, it was a new form, and it had a tuning, so beautiful. And then we didn't stop there. We started doing a written documentation of this, because these days you find recipes on YouTube, you have recipe books for good cooking, and so here we were documenting the methodology, the ingredients that has to go, this banga, this deflection, this mudra, this number of, this the speed in which it has to do, and all this, which was such an interesting process. We did a written documentation, and then we designed costumes for it. So because we wanted to do a video documentation of that, and even those costumes, because there was fundamental moves, we used the primary colors and flowing fabric, and so every aspect for a visual, appealing result was being put into this work. I'll do some demonstration now, and then I'll carry forward my insights into the freedom topic. So I was saying how different these are. Now this is Deshi, proper Deshi, where a movement is very linear. The legs is centered from the center outside. Te yum ta ta te yum ta ha te yum ta ta te yum ta ha. This is a fundamental movement. And what I did was that, yes, the leg extension had to happen on the side, But instead of taking it out and bringing it back, I would take it to the side and you move the body to the other side, taking it closer and give it a deflection of Dvibhanga that is there in Natya Shastra. And then I said, I'm not going to use linear movements, let me have a swing movement. Hence came Dolika. So this is how it looks. Dolika, Dani Samaga Gari Mama Gari Sa, Dolika. So this was a movement, the first movement that I tried. Now this is a beautiful movement, but see the functionality of it. It can depict a lady deity. It can depict a heroine who is in love with the hero. Or it could be a mother scolding a child. Dolika. Then. So many possibilities are there. With the elephant hands, Karihasta, Karenuka, Karenuka. If you see this body posture, it has an S shape. It is the Tribhanga, 3 deflections in the body, which is not there in our Deshi. It's very straight. There is only a Samabhanga. But in Marga tradition, there is this beautiful sculpture-like shape, and I put them in these fundamental moves. The baby elephant, Kalabhika. In Deshi, there is a movement where the hands go forward and the leg extensions happen to the front. So I said, okay, let me try a baby elephant here. So the same leg extensions with the movement like this. Kalabhika Dani Padama Kalabhika. Elephants, if you notice in nature, elephants, they fold up their leg and stand like this. So my ending was like this. 108 movements like this. I would like to give you an example of emotion. How in dance, in a fundamental movement, we can bring the emotion of joy. Harshika. How we can bring a movement that requests Nivedanika. How playing of an instrument, a percussion like mridanga, can be shown with just a movement, Marjanika. So with the music, I'll just demonstrate. And you'll see the use of space as well in this. Nature. How swaying trees can be shown through pure movement, swaying trees and blooming flowers. Here is one called Swastika Manjalika. So here, in the previous movement, I was using a tap like this, which is there in the Deshi, but the upper body and applications were different. And here, in this, it is a toe, heel concept, but how I have used in a crisscross manner, that's technical, but I would like you to see the effect of it in Swastika Manjarika. The next one, I don't have to say what it is, Bhujangika. So what was this? Bhujangika, a snake. We can show birds, eagle, we can show peacocks, we can show little children playing goli, marbles. So many ways of storytelling we can say with just Deshi Marga Adamu. The freedom that Deshi Marga Adamu gives the dancer. One is space. In the regular traditional dance, it is done in one place, most of the movements. Only in compositions, it is taught to use the stage space. But here, in the fundamental itself, a dancer is taught how to use diagonals, how to use back and forth, side movements, circular movements, sitting down, getting up, all dimensions. Use of space is freely done with Deshi Marga. One is space, another is energy. In Deshi, it is just one energy of doing a movement, whether in first, second or third speed. But in Deshi Marga, since it has this functionality and also these graceful moves, we have Sukumara, tender energy, Uddhata, powerful energy, and also according to the speed, according to the shape, according to the dynamics, the energy changes. And above all, anybody who does DMA, there is a constant weight shifting. And this allows a dancer to last longer because there is a circular energy within the body. This we don't find anywhere else, only the marking. And that I have brought in DMA and its capacity for storytelling. Indian dance forms are known for its amazing, amazing communication. And at the fundamental level itself, if dancers get to learn how to express, isn't that beautiful? We have taught DMA to 120 professional dancers globally. Online. Given them access to the written documentation, the video documentation, which also has the music. So it is a perfect tool for people who want to just dance. It gives so much. People who want to choreograph, it allows for creativity. People who want to teach, because in today's times, expression, freely expressing is not happening as much as it used to be before. We are also used to expressing using our hands, but it is not like that anymore because it's all changed to emojis. It's all with messages. There's not much of interaction, so this helps in also expressing. DMA also gives freedom as for an individual. I mean, for me at least, being a dancer all these years, I have intensely loved, passionately pursued, and daringly dreamt, meaningfully invested my energy with intent. For me, it's not just love for classical art, but love for the world. I can see something, get inspired, and also draw commonalities. Like for example, I can see this baby elephant move, Kalabhika, in a Disney animation movie. I can say, hey, this can work there. Okay, anybody there who can adopt this? If Moana could be entertained by a huge wave, I can see in DMA my Sagarika, Laharika, Vichika, all these movements that depict the tides, waves, rivers, ripples can be so entertaining. I don't see the difference. In fact, in our tradition itself, we have the freedom to take inspiration from the world, but show it as an exalted imitation of the world. And I have the greatest privilege to do that with DMA. Freedom of collectiveness. How this happened with DMA. We had educationists, we had scholars, musicians, filmmakers, scriptwriters, costume makers, tailors, technical crew, research assistants, dancers, all of them coming together, leaving their comfortable space and trying to contribute towards something new that has been created. So the collective freedom is what was happening in this research of Deshi Marga. The ultimate freedom is moksha, the bliss of eternity. But it is said a flavor of this bliss can be experienced through art. Freedom in classical art is where one dissolves one identity into music, in movement, in characters, and goes into another realm of rasananda. Rasananda is that essence of art experience that an artist feels and also the audience feels. To put it in simple words, freedom in our traditional art means forgetting oneself. Forgetting oneself. And being with something much more, much beyond. Imagine any freedom that is not in the purview of a framework. Any enjoyment that is opposed to a certain law can be dangerous, can create a lot of suffering. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says that I am, he identifies himself as that enjoyment which is not opposed to dharma, righteousness and law. So it is all in our hands that the freedom that we seek, the freedom that we want to be, we have a beautiful system in our Indian tradition that we can go by to choose arts or to go with the eternal bliss, the Brahmananda that our country gives out of us.